All right. Let's look into these key differences. So all of you type DMAIC and DMADV, and I want you to take good notes today. Okay, I request you to take good notes today. And it addresses the current process, whereas DMADV addresses the design process. I will go into the depth of this now. It's going to be very interesting. Okay. I loved making the presentation today. And please note in your notebook that DMAIC is more like a reactive approach and DMADV is more like a proactive approach. I'll tell you why. Because after a problem has happened, we are trying to solve with the define, measure, analyze, improve, and control the current problems of the current process. Okay, whereas in DMADV, we are trying to overcome that at a design stage. Okay, that's why we call it as a proactive approach, which prevents the defects. If you have a nice design, okay, in the beginning, then when you come to a regular operations or process, then the error is minimized, right? Right, okay. Now, all of you write in your notebook, this define, measure, analyze is common here in both these methodologies. Here in DMAIC methodology is improve and control, whereas in DMADV, it is design and verify. This cycle continues. Okay, now the question is, there is one road for DMAIC and there is another road for DMADV. When should we take these routes? That's a question. Okay, how many of you have done DMADV by any chance? Type me in the chat box if you have done any DMADV projects by any chance. Or if you have done DMAIC projects, you can type DMAIC in the chat box. If anybody has done DMAIC projects, you can. Okay, Richard has done both. Okay, now let's look at the overview of DMAIC versus DMADV. DMAIC is improvement system for the existing process, the process which is already there. And the process is not meeting the specification, and hence we are not getting the desired outcome or the outputs. Okay, so we want to improve the process because the output is not what we want. So we want to improve the process. Whereas in DMADV, we want to improve the systems used to develop the new processes. We are developing a new process or product at world-class quality level. We call it a Six Sigma quality level. So if this difference is clear, type SC, super clear, in the chat box. The first difference, okay? I'll go into the depth of it, okay? But you'll have to sink it. Okay, you'll have to be patient and get sunk inside the whole difference. Okay. Awesome. Now, if you see here, the route that we have already seen, it is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control, whereas it is define, measure, analyze, design, and verify. Okay. So both DMAIC and DMADV are inspired by Deming's PDCA cycle, though Deming popularized this PDCA cycle. The PDCA cycle actually was practiced and started by Walter Shewart. Okay, after that, Deming popularized, it became Deming's PDCA cycle. Okay, okay, let's go into a little deeper. Okay, now on the DMAIC side, in define, you define the problem, scope, and the goals of the project in DMAIC. Okay, whereas in define phase of the DMADV, you establish the goal and requirement for the new process, product, or service. Okay. I'll go to the next step. Then in the measure phase, if you see from the DMAIC point of view, you collect the data to establish the baseline of the current product performance. Okay, the product is already performing at some quality levels, and you collect the data to establish that baseline so that you write what is your expected state and then take the project through. Whereas here, you determine critical to quality characteristics and the performance metrics. You determine the CTQ. CTQ is one of the chapters that we have done earlier, okay? So we determine what is the CTQ, critical to quality for the voice of the customer, characteristic, and the performance metrics, and you measure that. Okay, if this is clear, please give me a 9 or 10. For people who are not clear, it's okay. It's okay if you're not. I don't expect everybody to be clear about this, okay? Because we're all in the learning phase. But I'm glad that most of you are giving more than 8, so that's beautiful. Okay, fine. Thank you very much. Now, in the analyze stage, what do we do in DMAIC? We investigate the data because you've collected the data. We identify the causes and go into the root causes of why the defects are produced, why the errors are produced. And we validate those causes and root causes. Whereas in the analyze of DMADV, we develop and evaluate design alternatives. Design alternatives is the keyword, and critical to quality is another keyword. We develop and evaluate design alternatives in order to meet the critical to quality characteristic of the customer, which in turn satisfies the voice of the customer. Okay, so if that is clear, type super clear. If it is SC, if it is super clear, type SSC in the chat box. Okay, now we will take a diversion. Okay, let's take a diversion. In the improve phase, after analyze, we start doing improvement in DMAIC. Whereas after analysis, we do design. We start the design. In DMADV, we select the best design alternative and develop detailed design plans. Whereas in DMAIC, we analyze and start improving the current process by having implement the test solutions and implement and test the solutions to address the root causes so that the root causes are addressed and the performance is enhanced. Whereas in DMADV, we make different designs and we evaluate the best alternative designs. Okay. So if this route is clear, give me a 9 or 10 if this is clear so far. And then last. Thank you very much. Control. Control is in DMAIC methodology, you define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. What is control? Sustain. You have implemented and tested solutions so that your root causes are addressed. The root causes don't affect the process anymore. You now operate with enhanced level of performance, but then you'll have to sustain at that enhanced level of performance. So you keep monitoring to ensure that it doesn't fall back and maintain. You use a lot of tools to monitor like control plans, etc. And monitor and maintain the improved process to ensure long-term stability. Whereas in DMADV, you have selected the best design alternative and developed the detailed design plans. Now you test and validate the design to ensure that it meets customer requirements. Okay, so if this is clear, please give me a 9 or 10 if it is super clear. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so far if you found this interesting, useful, valuable, fantastic, awesome, put it in the chat box. Let me draw some inspiration and proceed to a detailed level or deeper level. Very interesting, Devanjan Ghosh. Thank you. Torrance, thank you. Timiroy, thank you. All right, good. Thank you very much. All right, now let's go deeper. Now the aspect is to see DMAIC and DMADV, which is define, measure, analyze, improve and control here, and design and verify that. Okay, that's the aspect. Now the purpose we said is to improve existing process and resolve issues in DMAIC, Whereas in DMADV, we said design new processes or design new products. Okay. Now, the current state focus is improving the current state of the process, whereas the focus here is understand the current state for a new design. Okay. Now, if you see, this is achieves incremental improvements, okay, in DMAIC, because from this baseline level, you go to the next level, incremental. Whereas when you're redesigning something, you are thinking about a radical change in the design itself, a more like an innovation. Okay. If this point is clear, type super clear in the chat box. So that's why DMADV is very powerful. And that must be first adopted, and then we'll have to use DMAIC further. All right. Thank you. Then, if you see, it is DMAIC is suitable for well-defined existing problems. Okay, process already there. There is a process there already, and it is well-defined. But then the process is not giving the intended results, and something is actually disturbing the process. That's why we go into causes and root causes to analyze them, and then implement, find the solutions, and implement the test solutions. Whereas here in DMADV, we handle complex or undefined problems, okay? Because it's a new design that we are doing. And here, as far as data is concerned, it identifies and solves the existing issues with data. It uses the data to support design and verification, okay? And project type applicable to projects requiring improvements, here suited for innovative projects and new product development. And reducing variations, addressing the issue is a typical scenario here. This is creating entirely new process or products. And here, the key phases are define, measure, analyze, improve, control. Improve and control. Here, define, measure, analyze, design, and verify. All right. If this slide was useful, super useful, type whatever that you felt. Okay. So that I want to bring out very, very clearly the key differences. In terms of purpose, in terms of current state focus, incremental versus radical change, in terms of complexity of the problem, in terms of data usage, project type, typical scenarios, and key phases. All right, thank you. All right, now, let me go into a little bit of a different perspective, okay? This is initiated from a problem, DMAIC. This is initiated from an idea. Look at that. It is initiated from an idea, DMADV. It is initiated from a problem. Used in existing process, this is used for new process or product. This is organization customer focused, process focused. This is purely customer focused. This is a small team. This might require a larger team. This is short to medium time project. This is a long-term project. This is incremental improvement. This is a big radical leap improvement. This continuous improvement. This is re-engineering. Many projects available for improvement. This is a few key niche projects. Okay. So how is this slide? Please type awesome, useful, fantastic, whatever it is, because now I've given in a simple word the key differences in different words. Right? Because I want to show you the differences between DMAIC and. Okay, now let me go a little bit of final depth. Okay, a final depth. Now, in every project, you need to define goals and you ask, does process or product exist? If it is no, you take this route. If it is yes, you come to this. Is it evolutionary improvement needed? Okay, is evolutionary improvement needed? If it is yes, we will take one route. If no, we'll take another route. So DMAIC is for normal small improvements, okay, whereas DMADV is for new products and evolutionary improvement or a revolutionary improvement or a breakthrough improvement. Okay, if this route is clear, type yes, see super clear in the chat box. All right. Okay. Now quiz time. How many of you ready for the quiz? I'll have probably 3 to 5 questions on the quiz. How many of you ready? Type ready in the chat box. Only 3 questions, okay? And then we'll further go into the depth. Okay. The question is, which Six Sigma methodology is used for redesigning or replacing the entire process? DMAIC, DMADV, PDCA, Kaizen. Now that you've gone through this, this is easy for you, right? Okay, DMADV is the right answer. Good. Thank you very much for your participation. Let's focus here. The second question. In which phase of DMADV are the new process tested for effectiveness? Define, measure, design, verify. Of course, this looks like a very easy question, right? Yeah, it is an easy question. Good. The answer is verify is the right answer. The last question in this module is this, okay? Why might a DMAIC project be switched to DMADV project? Sometimes DMAIC can be switched to DMADV to reduce project cost, to improve team collaboration, when the complete process replacement is needed, to shorten project timelines. We have already discussed that. Perfect, 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 perfect. The correct answer is when a complete process replacement is needed. Okay, awesome. Fantastic. All of you deserve a pat on the shoulder. Okay, let me go into each of this slightly. Okay, so define phase. Define phase of Six Sigma process improvement project. Teams create what is known as a project charter. Okay, all of you type PC in the chat box. Write in your notebooks, project charter. Okay, this is very, very important outcome of the define phase, project charter. Now, in the define phase, project charter gives a synopsis of the project, team members, problem statement, goal, scope, success metrics, and rough timeline are there in the project charter. And if you see customer requirement and process documentation is measurable customer needs, high level. We also use something called as a SIPOC diagram. Okay, we'll go into the depth of all that. We'll have an indication of the stakeholders through stakeholder analysis and keep the team focused, establish the ground rule plan, and create detailed project charter and plan. So this is for the Six Sigma define phase. Okay. Okay. Now, if the define phase is clear, all of you type super clear in the chat box. Define phase is clear. We'll go into the depth of it when we step into next modules. Okay. This is at the very surface level. Okay, fine. Now, this is very important. The key to success is keep the team focused, create a detailed project charter and plan, engage champion for motivation without overstepping, and clarify the roles, whatever roles, the team roles also. Okay. So question and answer. What is one effective way to generate positive momentum during the define phase of Six Sigma project? This is a very logical question. Okay. One is increase project budget, focus solely on technical details, create a project charter and plan and involve project champion, and limit communication within the team. The answer seems to be obvious, right? Right. Create project charter and plan and involve. That's the most effective way to generate positive momentum during the design phase, define phase. Okay. Good. Let's step into the measure phase. Now, once the team has a good grasp of what the process does and how it works, what the problem is, and what the goals of the project is, the team now moves from define to measure. What do you do in the measure phase? Let's see. We will quantify the problem in the measure phase. How do you quantify the problem? Now, when you're transitioning from define to measure, it is marked by what is called as toll gate review. Okay, all of you type TGR in the chat box. Generally, Six Sigma specialists call that as TGR. TGR, toll gate review. Toll gate review. Okay, you have a toll gate review with the champions, and so that you cross define phase and go into the measure phase. Now, feedback is provided and decision made to move forward. Okay, I will sometime give you a checklist to pass the toll gate from define phase to measure phase. The activities here are baseline metrics to understand the current performance. Like, for example, if you want to improve your health, now you have to evaluate your current baseline. What is your sugar level? What is your BP? What is your weight now? Okay, what is your other, metrics, health metrics, so that the vitals, right? So that you first create a baseline metric so that when you improve, you know what you have improved. And refine the problem statements. Problem statement is very important. You have to be very clear with the problem statement. Okay. And decide what to measure and focus on relevant data. The challenges here is, in case if the team is inexperienced, they might struggle identifying the meaningful metrics. Okay. So the measure phase requires strong observation, knowledge of data types, and statistical analysis. Now, the typical success is keep the team focused, redirect work if needed, and address challenges calmly, and redirect strong emotions to productive work. This is quite logical. If this is clear, type super clear in the chat box. Very important to ensure fair distribution of work and clear responsibilities. Okay. Now I'll ask one question from this measure phase. Okay. The question is this: what can a Six Sigma leader do to mitigate the impact of the storming stage during the measure phase? Okay. Ignore the complaints of the team members, demonstrate a calm approach, and redirect team's emotions to productive work, increase the number of meetings to address the concern, delegate all tasks to external consultants. Answer seems to be logical, right? Any logical person can answer this, right? So demonstrate a calm approach and redirect the team's emotions to productive work. Okay. So this is all behavioral part of managing the project. Okay. Now analyze phase. Let us go into the analyze phase. Once the measurements are collected, or in the process of being collected, Six Sigma teams usually move on to what is called as analyze phase. Okay. Now, analyze phase is identifying the causes and the root causes. Analyze the causes and the root causes. So move from measure to analyze, often with, again, the toll gate review. There is a checklist. The measurement and analysis may overlap, requiring iterative efforts. Okay. The activities here is identify the root causes and the root causes. We use a lot of statistical tools during analyze phase, such as Pareto diagrams, histograms, cause and effect diagram. We will verify the causes and we'll make the preparation for the improve phase. What are the challenges? Okay. May experience storming, especially if not resolved in the earlier phases. And sometimes people don't, understanding some statistical concepts might be challenging, though it's easy, but people who are not mathematically intelligent might find it challenging. The tips for success is motivate the team, communicate clearly, okay, and explain how the data speaks. Okay, the data should speak, not the human should speak. Okay, and language of data, we call it as a language of data. Okay, all of you type LOD in the chat box. Okay, LOD in the chat box. Language of data, data-based decision making. Right? Good. Thank you. So we should now hear the language of data. We should hear the data speak rather than we speaking. Be mindful of the team knowledge levels and provide explanations where required. Because, see, we should empathize with people. Not all people are equally, can comprehend. Okay, everybody is intelligent. Everybody is good. Okay, but their comprehension level might slightly differ based on their environment, experiences, education, and all that stuff. All right. If you agree with me, if you found it interesting, useful, valuable, fantastic, awesome, put it in the chat box. Let us go through this question. All right. Thank you. Okay. One interesting question here is, what is a key consideration for Six Sigma leaders when introducing statistical concepts during analyze phase? What are the key considerations when introducing statistical concepts? Past advanced analysis using complex statistical terms. Ensure all team members have basic understanding of statistical concepts. Focus solely on implementing solutions without detailed explanation. Avoid involving team members in analysis process. Okay, again, the answer seems to be quite logical, and even through logic, you can answer this, okay? Yeah. So ensure all team members have basic understanding of statistical concepts. Very good. That's the right answer. Thank you very much for your active participation. All right. Now improve phase. In the improve phase, during the improve phase of the project, the Six Sigma team select the final solutions and puts it in place. Okay, let's see what are the transition to improve phase. Okay. Finalize and implement solutions. And the best practice is implement one change at a time to verify the impact. And use tools like solution selection matrix. We'll talk about solution selection matrix to choose the best solutions in the cost benefit analysis and the effort versus benefit analysis. Okay. And the key consideration, align the solutions with the root causes identified in analyze phase. Okay. It should actually, the solution should address the root causes. That's the point here. Test it thoroughly with statistical tools before full deployment. Okay. And, do a cost benefit analysis and avoid selecting costly solutions. The challenges that you might face is some people feel the project fatigues. Okay. So keep the teams motivated despite long project durations and involve the team. Okay. Involve the team in decision making. Okay. Don't alienate anybody. Don't discard anybody. Okay. Ensure a strong understanding of DMAIC and Six Sigma early moment. Okay. Okay, let's have a question here at the stage. The question here is, what is the common issue that the Six Sigma teams face during the improve phase? Excessive budget allocation, lack of statistical tools, project fatigue, and overfunding. Just now we saw in the few minutes back in our presentation. So the obvious answer is here is project fatigue is the possible thing. All right. Okay, thank you very much, friends, for active participation. So let's go to, okay, there's one more question. What strategy should the Six Sigma team leader employ to keep the team motivated as the project nears completion? Great, nice question. So what should the leader do? Handle decision-making and analysis independently, focus solely on increasing project budget, foster a team approach and keep the team members involved. Reduce the frequency of team meetings and exercises. Obvious, anybody who's experienced would select the obvious answer, right? Yeah, foster a team approach and keep the team members involved. Fantastic. Super. So control phase is the final phase of the project. Let's see what all the things, the key task in the control phase is the following. Project discipline is very important. and the documentation should be well done. Okay. And ongoing metrics and performance should be absolutely clear, so that when we slip back, we know that we are slipping back. Sustaining is very important. And develop a process management plan for transition to the process owner. Tools used are documentation, checklists, control charts, response plans, process maps, dashboards for ongoing control. And the challenges we face is the transition. The team might struggle without letting go of the project that they have invested in. Okay. Because already they have some old way of working, transitioning to the new way is always challenging. And prepare the teams for this phase. Okay. Leadership role is very important. And also the reward and recognition is very important. Celebrating the success is very important. Always end with a positive note. Okay. And, appreciation, sense of appreciation is very important. Okay. So let's go to one question that we will have is, what is the important step for Six Sigma leaders? What is an important step for Six Sigma leaders to take when concluding a project? Immediately start planning for the next project. Avoid recognizing individual contributions. Host a celebratory wrap-up meeting and recognize team members, and skip the final meeting to save time. Again, the answers are obvious. Okay. Yeah, host a celebratory wrap-up meeting. Okay, and celebrate the success. Recognize the teams. All right. And just things design. Okay, now DMAIC we have covered. Now DMA and DV, design and verify, are the two slides that is pending. And so design is the fourth phase of DMADV. It replaces the improve phase of DMAIC. Okay. And DMADV is one approach for what is called as design for Six Sigma. All of you type DFSS in the chat box. So designing the new product, process, or service that meets or exceeds the customer requirement. That meets or exceeds the customer requirement. Okay. So the purpose is to develop a new process or develop a new product on the foundation of these define, measure, and analyze phases. We collaborate with vendors, manufacturers, or internal team or for creation. And the activities we do is we create and test. We've already seen that, so I'm not explaining this much. Create and test a new product or service. We do prototype testing of the plans, designs in the controlled environment. There is beta testing. There are different types of testing that is there. And we constantly use feedback to troubleshoot and optimize. So the one important thing to make it successful is to manage the project fatigue. Okay, as a work requirements intensify. This is DMADV is little bit intensive. Okay, and set realistic timelines. Don't push the people into any conclusion of any design. Okay, otherwise you will not come with optimal design. Okay, and also to customers, don't overpromise. And in terms of delivery times and in terms of quality. Okay. Okay, let's get into the question and answer session. Which one key tip to ensure the success in design phase of process redesign project? Promise a very short timeline to please leadership. Rush the design work to meet tight deadlines. Set realistic target dates for design work. Avoid involving team members in design phase. Now, this also seems to be quite a logical answer. Okay. Set realistic targets for the same. Okay. All right. Thank you. And the last one is verify. Okay. So verify is the final phase of DMADV and is very similar to the control phase of DMAIC project. And what we see is we verify the design feasibility and validate the pilot testing and validation. Okay. Now we transition new process or product service to the process owner or relevant people who have to take care of that in the future. That's the purpose. And we also implement what is called control plans. There are a lot of control plan tools in the control plan, in the control methodology, which we will talk. Okay, so that it doesn't slip back. Okay, the activities we do is Conduct further critical to quality analysis to identify new quality factors. What is that critical to quality parameters, that specifications that we should put it in the design that will take care of customer requirements? Okay. Ensure the final product or process meets the goal that is set in the define phase so that it's free from defects. And closing the DMADV project is address the concern of team members about post-project roles. Very important. After it is rolled into a regular process or production environment or operations environment, the roles has to be very clear, and please help the team members reintegrate into regular duties by applying Six Sigma learnings. Handoff is very important. Handing over, handoff, validating the team contributions, very, very important. Okay, so we'll end up with this question answer. What is the key consideration for Six Sigma leaders when closing a DMADV project? Increase the project budget for additional resources, ensuring the team members have clear communication about the next steps, allow the team members to handle only regular job duties, or reduce the frequency of project meetings and updates. Again, quite logical. Okay, ensure the team members have clear communication about the next steps. Fantastic. Okay, now we are talking about how do we handle this massive project, mammoth project, elephant project. Okay, you should now have the basic understanding of the Six Sigma team approaches and problem and process improvement. Now let's see how we will break this elephant step by step. Okay, this is a very small tip that I want to give. Okay, DMAIC and DMADV, you should go phase by phase. You should not jump to one phase to the other. You should go through toll gate reviews. There is a proper checklist. You should use the relevant tools in each and everything and validate through these tools. Only then you can go break up this massive problem into project into phases using these tools and toll gate reviews. So this provides a structure, control, and organizations to tackle large projects, helps the team on task by dividing complex problem into manageable parts. Okay, one bite at a time, they say. No, when the lion preys on an elephant, how does it eat the entire elephant? One bite at a time, right? So Six Sigma gives you that methodology, that structure of defined phases, that defined tools, and defined checklist and approaches. And if you follow all that, then you will become a winner.